All right. Yeah, I mean, I've texted Michael and Megan and everybody that, so, but they still want a shot up for whatever. So, okay. All right. No, I mean, I'll be fine. I mean, I reset the time code for 0, so you can hit like 0 on your watch, and you can log your bikes that way. I just sent, we transferred you some shots of the middle school as well. The only thing I didn't get because they wanted this shot up is whenever you're done, you can go up and get some shots of the sign on the door that says it's closed. So, but yeah, all right, all right, all right. Very good. We'll make it happen.
Sure thing.
No worries at all. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Hey Brian, there's a yellow sign. You can see it. Doors right there. It says there's the city windows.
You know how would I be live? You want me to have Grace calling on this? Probably not. Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, really? Actually under the impression until you drove up, we were kind of by ourselves one-on-one. So it may have just been the multiple requests. They said to take care of it. Dougie.
Hey, Darren, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Justin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I know no shade, no, here.
No, it's not Justin.
Here.
Oh, there we go.
Take a live picture.
What's this nifty thing?
The light.
Oh. Big old LED light. I thought it was something neat. I guess it is. Sorry.
I think it's pretty neat.
I guess it is. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Sure makes my reporters look good.
Sorry.
Oh, it's
it
all
looks like
good.
some kind of like cool TV thing from back
Oh,
here.
yeah, you're right. It could be an LED monitor. You're right.
Is there a certain number that says
5098. Can you just go up there and talk for a second? Get an audio check.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. You need me to do 1, 2?
I'm Karen. Oh, nice to meet you.
And then this is done, we'll go get Colin and Scott and the other one, so we'll have shots of all 4 daylight videos.
Hey, Sam, it's Doug.
Dougie, you want to hop on this side of me?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
I am.
very good. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I was like, you want to drive around Rockingham County? You have a whole nother
Hang on, don't go crazy. You actually just flip this.
Oh, there you go.
Work smart.
Perfect.
This is going.
691-5098. 98. Yes.
Just got it.
All right.
Oh, they use it. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that was okay. So there I went out, edit for it. Yep.
Board meeting tonight and he's on the phone with a little kid.
You want a sandbag, Doug?
No, it's fine. I got it now. No, the mic is too good. The mic is
Doug, I can move that light if it's an issue. We can bring it back. Hey y'all, good morning, sir.
I don't know why y'all are here. That door ain't got nothing to say. Ah. One, two, three, four. Hello, hello. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Superintendent of Schools. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello.
special for the sum total of $4.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, we don't need another crisis, but
It's the price is right.
You'll ever spend.
well, I already hurt his feelings because I was like, "What's this cool thing?" Oh, it's just a light. And he was like, "Hey, that's my cool light."
I know y'all appreciate that, so you don't have to sit there and try to get the old lights cooled off.
That's right. That's right.
I remember those old lights with the little flashing papers.
Monday. Monday, it ain't raining. Kind of nice out.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. It'll be pouring down out here in just a minute.
The monsoons
It'll wash out tomorrow.
I mean, it's great. I had my yard seeded about 3 weeks ago,
There
so
you go.
you know it's sort of nice and green now.
Right. Yeah.
Y'all let me know whenever you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Go for it. Step up to the,
I'll take care and warn y'all. I'm not hangry because I ate lunch, so we're good. We're all good. About right here will be fine.
That's fine.
Okay. Can you hear all right with the mask on?
yes, sir.
Okay, good deal.
Is there like a starting statement or?
I'm just glad y'all are here today.
Okay.
First
Uh,
question, you spell your name for us, first name, last name.
You know what, I was reading y'all's mind. I knew I had to do that next. My name is Rodney, R-O-D-N-E-Y, Shotwell, S-H-O-T-W-E-L-L, Superintendent, Rockingham County Schools.
So how were these cases first discovered?
Well, you know, what we do with all three cases is that we get a report, whether it's a staff member or a student, and we go from that point and we look and see how many contacts does that person have, who else was affected, who else was in the room, how did they intermingle with other people, and so that really helps us really kind of narrow it down, because for one of our middle schools, you know, they're in session today because we were able to make sure that the issue that we had at that school was contained in one classroom, in one hallway, so it didn't cross-contaminate into other parts of the school.
And how many schools are affected right now, and which schools are they?
We have 3 schools that are on that are closed right now. We have 3 schools that are closed, and all 3 are middle schools.
And what is that, fourth school? So where it's not the entire school closed down? It's just
Right. It's just one area, one small area of the school that was affected.
and what was that school's name?
Rockingham Middle School.
And we're at Reedsville Middle right now.
Yes.
This is one of the schools that is closed as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And what are the other 2 that are closed?
The other 2 schools are Western Rockingham Middle School and Holmes Middle School.
And if I'm not mistaken, this was the first one where cases were discovered, correct?
Actually, it was homes. It was in. It was a staff member, and they were in a hallway, and then again, it's one of those things where we had 4 confirmed cases within that small classroom, and then we have a presumptive case. So then that makes it a cluster. So that's a little bit different at that school. Whereas the other 2 middle schools, it was actually where it was a grade level, where the students are staying in their classrooms, but then the teachers are moving to the classes to where the students are. But then when we go to our elective classes, then there's other students that are in those classes. That it could be some 6th graders or 8th graders, like a band or a physical education class where they're sharing the gym but still doing social distancing. And so with that being said, we felt like that, it was more than just a grade level or a hallway, and we felt like that the whole school needed to be able to be closed.
So how many folks do you have in quarantine right now, would you say?
When you mean quarantine, you mean in terms of people who have direct exposure to it?
Folks who have direct exposure and folks who are also in quarantine, staying away from other folks who may have had contact with those folks. Do you have a number?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at the whole total school population, you're probably looking at, let me do some math in my head here. There's probably about 2,100 students total in those 3 middle schools. But that's not all who's affected. It's a small group. And those folks have been contacted. So they know that if they had any direct exposure to it, they've been contacted, and they're to remain at school. And they have siblings that go to elementary schools. Some of us have, they have spouses or people in their family that go to other schools. And so they stay quarantined until they can get a COVID test done. And if it comes back negative, then those siblings that are going to the other schools can then return to school.
What is your view on reopening schools? Do you after you've seen this, do you still believe it's safe?
I believe our schools are safe because people have to understand that, it's affecting our schools, but this didn't necessarily happen because of the students being in school. They're exposing themselves in other places on the weekend and evenings, and if they bring it into the school. I think what it does for us, it allows us to be able to make sure that we're offering a safe environment for them. Also, we've been working on this since the summer to get ready for the kids to come back in some capacity. So, we do have safety protocols in place. Not only for entering the building, but before they eat lunch, when they're going to the restroom, the way they move down the hallways. I don't think that I could just say that that it's all the school's responsibility that all this stuff happens, but I do believe that what we're doing is we're trying to take to be safe and make safe decisions, but it doesn't deter us from continuing Plan B. Because I'll be honest with you, last week, until all this stuff happened right here towards the end of last week, things were going really well, and I can just tell you, for the mental health of both our teachers and our students and staff, it was really important to see the kids come in school last week. And I can tell you that personally. I was at one of the elementary schools, and as soon as I saw those little kindergartners coming in with backpacks half the size of them coming into school, I felt like, okay, now we're really in school for the first time. And our teachers needed to see that. And we really did have a really good week. But there's other districts that started on Plan B right when school started in August. They encountered some issues, but they were able to overcome them, and they're doing just fine. And I think that's what's going to happen here.
You guys were only open for a few days, and then
Yeah.
this happened. In 2 weeks, whenever you guys reopen, it's possible this right here could happen again. What is the plan to combat that? What is the plan to even prevent that? I know a lot of parents and even teachers are really curious.
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because part of the responsibility is on us, and then the other responsibility is on our families. That if you feel an illness, if you're showing any signs, your students really need to stay home. And I can tell you that our principals reiterate that message on their Sunday night updates to their parents to let them know, look, if you're showing any kind of symptoms, please stay at home. The other part for us is we're going to do everything. Like, we're going to disinfect all 3 schools. that are involved. We're going to disinfect the room that was involved at the 4th middle school. And so we're going to make sure that the environment's clean here. You know, we've even changed our heating and air conditioning schedule so that we're refreshing the air at least an hour, hour and a half before people get to school, and an hour and a half to 2 hours after they leave school, so that anything that's lingering is going to be cycled out and fresh air being brought back into the school.
You mentioned that, you know, some of these students who were affected and were in those classes may have younger siblings in some of the other schools. Are you concerned about the possibility of cases spreading to those schools, you know, while the middle school students are out in the building?
That's always a possibility, but I'll say this: we have some really good parents in this county, because today, for instance, we had one parent on who had a student that was at one of the middle schools, but they had two younger siblings. Well, they had a younger sibling and an older sibling, and the parent just called and said, "Look, I kept them at home today, and because I feel like that's the right thing to do." And that's what we've been saying: if you feel like that your kid has been exposed, then you need to keep them at home. And so it was a really nice conversation with that parent. They're going to go back and they're going to get their child tested, and if the test comes back negative, then they're going to go back to school. That's why I say that you know, this is a really a joint effort with our community and parents and with us, because just one of us can't do it. It's going to take both of us to be able to make it happen. And our parents really do want their kids back in school. So I do feel like that they're going to do everything that they possibly can on their end to prevent that from happening.
Whenever it comes to getting tests done, whenever 2 weeks have passed, is there going to be, hey, we want to make sure that every student that was in these classes is tested, or is it going to be, we want to make sure that every student on campus, before they step in the classroom, they get tested and the test comes back negative? What are some of those precautions?
Well, see, not the whole school was exposed. It's just that, you know, you either had multiple classes or so. So, you know, that's where the contact tracing is vital here. And so that's what we've been doing over the weekend, is working on that contact tracing with the students, and we're continuing to do it, and we're in constant contact with our health department. So it's nice to have them as a partner, because they're helping us with this, because not every student is going to need to have the COVID test if they weren't in that direct exposure. Because really that's what we're talking about here. If I was a teacher and I was in a classroom and one of the kids had positive symptoms, I'm in there with them for about 90 minutes. Then I'm leaving and I'm going to another classroom. That doesn't necessarily mean that I was directly, you know, caught it, but the fact that I had that much exposure time and then I go to another classroom is the reason why we're doing this closure at these schools, for that very reason.
Well, does that mean that then, like, the entire 7th grade or something like that needs to get tested before they come back, or is it just the kids that had that immediate exposure?
And then immediate exposure, and then what we're also looking at, because we're also doing the distancing, the social distancing in the classroom. The kids have been wearing their mask, and they've been washing their hands, and so any of the kids that are close by, that's where that contact tracing really comes into play. And our school administrators and our support staff, our school nurses, they've all been working diligently trying to make those contacts with anybody who might have been within proximity of the person who was exposed.
Remote learning restarted today. What are some of those leeway that teachers are going to give the students for these first couple days? Because I know a lot of parents are probably scrambling to try to make sure that either they take off work or they can get somebody that can be with their child as they start remote learning again. What are some of the things that they need to know for these next 2 weeks about remote learning and their child's ability to grow in their education?
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be no different than the first 5 weeks, because we were all on remote then. So it's still fresh. Everybody knew what they had to do. Our teachers also are doing an excellent job of being able to offer time for those kids to be able to call in with questions, to Zoom in or have groups of them come in and do that. That's going to continue, because all these teachers were still teaching virtual students who are staying at home 100%, along with teaching in person. So with that support mechanism for helping everybody is still there. Now that everybody is on total remote, for some of the teachers it'll be a little bit easier for them to be able to manage that, because they're not having the in-person and the kids at home at the same time.
How is this going to affect tonight's school board meeting? Do you think there's going to be a lot of conversations about this?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to have a good conversation tonight. You know, one of the things that they asked us as a staff to do was to bring different options after the governor announced that you could begin Plan A if you're ready on October the 5th. And so what they're asking us to do is they're asking us to bring some options back. But any option that we bring to them, you know, we're going to have an open and honest discussion. You know, our board members have a pulse of what's going on in our community. And so I think it's going to be a really good dialogue tonight to really talk about it, because one thing for sure, all of us want the kids to have the safest environment possible. And so I feel like whatever decision will be ultimately made about going to Plan A is going to be done with a lot of thoughtfulness from each of the board members, and also a lot of information coming from staff and from the community. So I think the combination of all that, we're going to have a really good discussion tonight.
How are the janitors holding up? Because now they got to go through, they got to disinfect entire school district, school campuses. How are they holding up right now, and are you guys going to be getting more help in to help them do that?
Well, you know, that's one of the reasons why we had the Flex Wednesdays, was so that that after the students who came on Monday, Tuesday would have an opportunity to be able to get the school ready for the other half of the kids that are coming on Thursday, Friday. And then on Friday afternoons, they would get it ready for Monday. So they're used to having this somewhat of a routine, but what we have to do now is our maintenance staff will come in and help defog a lot of all the hallways and the classrooms that are affected.
And I know some of at least one of the big school districts in the area recently announced creating a dashboard program to where parents are going to be able to look at individual campuses to see, okay, the number of staff that have been affected or have been exposed to COVID is going to be, at least the number is going to be listed on there. Is something similar to that to provide parents a little bit more access to that information? Is something like that going to happen on campus over here in Rockingham County?
Well, I mean, you know, I'm not sure what the cost of the dashboard is or how it was developed, but for us, you know, that's one of the reasons why we've not shied away from putting this information out on Facebook. Because a lot of our parents, the vast majority of our parents in our community are using that as their gateway for information. And so that's why we've shared all this information on Facebook, because we want to be transparent. We want people to know exactly what's going on and how. We are also sending alert now messages to our parents. If there's been any changes, you know, we don't hesitate to give them a call and let them know. So between that, the social media, and calling directly to the schools, I mean, I feel like the parents are getting a pretty accurate picture of what's happening.
Are parents at any of these schools able to decide to go back to remote only if they want to, and if they don't want to go back to Plan B when the schools reopen?
Right now, that is still an option for them to be able to do that. We have approximately 4,172 kids right now that are on 100% virtual out of 11,200 students.
And what would you want those parents to know if that's something they're considering because of this?
Well, you know, just like everything else, the contact with the school is paramount. And if that's something that they're entertaining, then they need to have a discussion with either their counselor or the principal or assistant principal at the respective schools, and they'll be glad to help you out. And if they can't get in contact with them, I know that their home-based teacher will also do what they can to help them out as well.
Is there any message you want to get out to all of the parents in the district? Of course, this is probably unsettling and frustrating for many of them.
Well, it is. It's frustrating for everyone, really, because, like I said, we had a really good week last week. I have two students that are mine that are going to school, and they were so excited about being able to go back and see their friends, even if it was with a mask and everything. But I want the parents to understand that we are doing everything possible to try to make these schools as safe as we can by with the cleaning, the temperature checks, the adaptation forms, everything that we're trying to do. But again, it's going to take them helping us as well. And if we can do this together, we'll be right back in the swing of things with Plan B, and it'll be working. And those students who feel more comfortable being on the virtual learning, we totally respect that, because ultimately a child's education is up to their individual parents to make that decision. And so what we're trying to do as a school district is try to give them as many options as possible so that they feel comfortable with what's going to work best for their children.
Anything else you want to add?
I just want to say that people are working night and day, literally, to get information out, to keep our schools clean, and try to give everything that they've got. I can just tell you, our teachers are giving 2,000% effort on this, and we are so fortunate that we've got such a dedicated group of teachers and support staff helping us, because honestly, they're the reason that everything's working for us, and we've got great leadership in our schools, and the combination of that is truly what I believe has made things successful for us. All right. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
One thing he said that I need you guys to touch. He said at the very beginning, he said there was a staff member that had it at one of our schools. And if you would, please cut that out. Please, I beg of you, cut that out.
Can we ask why?
Huh? Because
Is it not true, or he misspoke?
no, it is true. I'm going to just be honest with all of you. It is true, but we cannot tell that it's a student or staff. We're not allowed. It's against confidentiality.
Yeah.
So we could get in a lot of trouble if we're walking around saying, hey, it's a staff member that has COVID. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not questioning. I'm just questioning. You know, he made the statement, so I'm like,
He
why?
did. So it's real hard for it's hard for us to know if it's a student or staff, and then not say if it's a student or staff.
Right.
So us walking around saying, you know, if it's a student or staff, so he knows it's a staff member that has COVID, and so he said it, you know, just saying it.
It was an accident.
Yes.
Right. So it's an accident.
I got a board meeting tonight too. I'm trying to get ready for that.
So it was an it's at Holmes Middle School. It's a staff member that started with the COVID.